In this next article from Fox News, Trump lawyers allege Arizona election fraud conspiracy in GOP quote unquote hearing. Arizona testified or certified China Joe Biden as the winner on Monday. President Donald Trump, the king of memes, personal attorney Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, urged Arizona state legislators to get to the bottom of an alleged voter fraud conspiracy during a hearing Monday, the same day that the state certified the election for Democratic candidate China Joe Biden, aka the streaking White House groper, the one that can't keep his hands off of little kids and Secret Service agents' girlfriends' breasts. Quote, you also had numerous situations of your workers, your citizens, observing the poll officials, helping people vote to the point of telling them who to vote for, and quote, Giuliani said, quote, poll workers being observed, changing votes, taking ambiguous votes, and making sure they were cast for China Joe, and quote, that's pretty sketchy. That's I got problems with that. We can't be having that. If that's true, they keep getting kicked out of court, though. I don't know. It's like not of the judges deny them are Democrats. Some of them are Republicans. Maybe they're rhinos. I don't know. Seems to me like it would warrant a further investigation. They don't have enough information to go to it. I think the problem is not that they might not still win in court, but the problem is that they're running out of time. That's the problem. The suitcase gate video is a smoking gun. Definitely shows quite clearly evidence of ballot stuffing. They definitely have motivations. Allegedly, they were getting paid $600 to work a shift when usually you get paid $250. I think they were saying it's extra for the COVID. Don't know. The supervisors got $700 a shift. They'd usually get $300. So, I mean, maybe you could say, okay, you got some extra COVID money from Uncle Sam. I don't know. Reading on, Giuliani questioned retired Army Colonel Phil Waldron, presented as a cybersecurity expert during the meeting, which was attended by Arizona state lawmakers and Representative Paul Goshier, representative from Arizona. Waldron also spoke at Giuliani's meeting about election fraud concerns with Pennsylvania state lawmakers last week. Waldron warned of potential voter fraud in Arizona's Maricopa and Prima counties, two of the state's most populous counties, and said that Dominion voting machines are vulnerable to hackers or on-site manipulation. Waldron claimed that Maricopa County officials said the county did not violate signatures on some... they didn't validate signatures on some ballots, creating 1.9 million fraud potential. That official have not produced an affidavit, he said. Warden, who has claimed that a witness from Prima County said votes were embedded in various precincts to achieve a China Joe win. Quote, what I take from your testimony, Colonel, is that 35,000 votes were embedded into each Democratic candidate in Prima County. The allegations by the gentleman who hasn't given us an affidavit, and quote, Giuliani said, quote, we don't know if the gentleman is telling us the truth or not, end quote. So far, courts in the state's local election officials have not found evidence of widespread fraud. Sorry. I'm so sorry. They have not found evidence of widespread voter fraud enough to overturn the election. This is the words that you have to parse very carefully. It says they have not found evidence of widespread voter fraud that was enough to overturn the election results. That's a load of horseshit. They just lied to you. That's a deceptive. What they just said was lawyer speak for, oh, well, we have evidence. It's just not widespread enough, so we're not going to move it forward in the courtroom. No. If I was a judge, I would say, okay, so you said you didn't have enough evidence. All right, let's take it to trial and move it to the next stage so we can do the discovery phase. Let's get these people in the courtroom, get them on under oath, and cross-examine them. Are these claims bullshit? I want to know. I don't want to be spreading fake news about no election thing. But if it is some Bohemian Grove, some Bilderberger shit with some secret people working with the Chinese, they got some Illuminati cabal. They're like running things behind the scene. They're behind 9/11. Like, we got to take these motherfuckers down. Straight up. Just like. So China Joe ended up carrying the state by over 10,000 votes, or 0.3% of the vote. 11 electoral votes were up for grabs in Arizona. Dominion, which is used by several states, has pushed back against such claims. Push back. Michael Steele, the political hack guy who's not trustworthy in any way, shape, or form, he previously denied claims that votes cast through the company's systems were at risk of being altered. It's because he's a pawn. If you want to find the most corrupt person you can get, look no farther than Michael Steele, the guy who's the rhino that goes on the MSNBC network all the time. Yeah, dude, we're not listening to the dude from MSNBC, bro. Like, we know Michael Steele. We know this guy. We know this guy is a rhino, Republican in name only. He's not a legit Republican. Oh, but they'll tell you, Republican. Oh, he sided. He was against Trump in this, so that means that it's bipartisan, right? Right. The guy from MSNBC that counts as bipartisan, right? Right. Hey, so I got a bridge downtown Eugene. I'm selling for $5 million. You could just drop it in, make a donation, rsscommentary.com/donate. Make that donation on PayPal. I got a bridge to sell you, bro. Quote, look, when voters vote on Dominion machines, they fill out a ballot on a touchscreen. They're given a printed copy, which is given to local election officials for safekeeping. If an electronic interference had taken place, the tally reported electronically would not match the printed ballots. In every case where we looked at in Georgia, all around the country, the printed ballots, the gold standard, and electric security has matched electronic tally. That's what they said. But that would only be if they're using integers, and they're alleged to be using floating point numbers that give fractional votes. And we need to have an explanation as to why you're getting fractional votes. If what Sidney Powell has alleged in the Kraken, then they monitor. They have a list of everybody's voting preference in the machine for each district. They made the machines in China, so they would have been able to put the backdoor chips in China. They can put the voter rolls on a flash inside the computer. They can, when you go and you input in your vote, wait, no, they're anonymized, right? Never mind. It can just know what precinct it is based upon what percent of Republicans are in your precinct. It can just look up, this batch is in this precinct, and that means that we weight it. or they can see in the beginning of the batch, all right, so there's this percentage of Republicans in the beginning of the batch, and then they can weight it on the fly in the software. There's no way that we could trust any sort of machine made in China. There's zero trust. You can't tell me, oh, well, we scanned the ballots through and then it came up with the same as the paper total, because we don't know whether or not it's actually counting these things the way that you said it was counting them. That's the problem with anything that's coming from China, with anything that's coming from Smartmatic or Dominion, is that their integrity is questionable by most people. And it does not matter whether or not they're actually engaging in that fraudulent behavior. We have the appearance that this is happening. And at that point in time, it means that we have to have a more robust system that we can all agree on, that's saying, you know what, this is legit. This is as legit as we can get it. That's just what kind of safeguards we got. This is, we can ensure chain of custody. We can print out the ballots like this. We could rescan the print of the ballots. But there's also two claims that the election workers were coaching people to vote for China Joe Biden. This claim has not been addressed. A lot of these claims, I think maybe we would say unsubstantiated. Baseless, definitely not baseless. Unsubstantiated, maybe. I haven't looked at all the different things. Some of this stuff I think is legit. Obviously, some of the stuff, you have to have people, you have to have them write affidavit. One of the cases, the person made the allegations, but they didn't have an affidavit on file. And so that knocked them out of court. There's a lot of ways to get knocked out of court, especially in a lawsuit. A lot harder to get knocked off of the ballot if you've done any, or the docket if you've gotten busted with some drugs, sadly. If it was only as easy to get out of trouble for drug charges as it is for them to dismiss your case in a lawsuit, then I think we would have a lot more crime. So what else is in there? That's most of this for this article. What else is there? Here is was this one from Arizona? Here's the press release. Here, it was a tweet from the King of Memes up on Twitter from December 4th from the Senate President Karen Fan. House Speaker Russell Bowers says, Senate President Karen Fan and Speaker of the House Rusty Bowers today called the independent audit of the Dominion software and equipment used in the Maricopa County in the 2020 general election. Two leaders, along with incoming Senate Government Chair Michelle Ugenti-Rita, House Majority Leader Warren Pearson had numerous phone calls with members of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. As a longtime advocate for improving and modernizing our election system, I'm pleased to learn the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is supportive of conducting an independent audit of their voting software equipment, end quote, Senator Ugenti-Rita said. Quote, it's important we maintain all of the voting public's confidence in our election, and this is a positive first step in the right direction, and quote, a significant number of voters believe the fraud occurred with the election irregularities, and it's easy to understand why. House Majority Leader Peterson, especially concerning the allegations made surrounding vendor Dominion, an imperative that the county immediately do a forensic audit on Dominion software and equipment to make sure the results were accurate. Legislators also emphasized to the supervisors how important it is to move expeditiously on that matter. So, they said, I bought their excuse here for a second. They're saying, oh no, we printed up a thing that had the ballot results and they got a paper copy, and then we took a copy and we ran those things through. We got the same thing. What's the problem with this? Absentee ballots? They're talking about in-person ballots. So their excuse was, oh, well, in the in-person voting, no, they got a printout. They just used the voting machine, and then we gave them a printout, right? And then, but this isn't the issue that's at hand. They just gave us a load of horse shit. And I didn't even catch it. It took me a second there. I'm like, wait a minute. That's in-person voting. We're talking about absentee ballot voting, where they allegedly had tens of thousands of people on the rolls that weren't supposed to vote, or voted twice. And then they had like the 1,500 dead voters, and then what was it? 40,000 people that voted twice. I forget what the other allegation was. That's enough to swing the election right there. So obviously, what they've been saying is horseshit. Most of these replies, they're like, "Oh, well, the stories of the ballot stuffing at the Georgia TCL, they're fake because the pipe burst at about 10:30, and then they came in and they did maintenance repairs, but no ballots were affected by it. None of the voting machines, none of the ballots got wet, and none of the voting machines were affected by the leak." So that means it didn't happen. I don't know, man. I've seen enough spy movies to where I know that whenever you got like some water leak that like wasn't expected, now you got like a crew of people coming in to do some maintenance and some repairs. That's the kind of point where we're like, okay, do you got some Chinese military bringing in some tens of thousands of ballots for China Joe now? Is that what the dude's doing here, repairing the pipe? I mean, we need to know every single last thing about this story, because now we got these people over here in Nevada saying, "Oh no, when you vote in person, it prints up a copy of the thing, and then we have a paper copy of it." So it's not the same as the voting machines where we could send you a false ballot, and then you could like vote twice, and then, oh, but no, we ran the ballots again, and we got the same result as the first time we ran the ballots. Right, exactly. Right, that's the problem. But this chain of custody, there's a lot of questions here, a lot of questions that need to be answered under oath. These questions should not. I mean, the Senate in the state, or the state legislators, they're the ones that are supposed to deal with the elections. I don't really think it's actually the court's duty to do this. And they've had little help with the courts. Maybe that's what is supposed to happen. Maybe they're just buying time. But they have had more success dealing with the legislators in persons, especially after the suitcase gate, bombshell, smoking gun, evidence of ballot stuffing video came out. Definitely can't tell me that they didn't tell people to go home, because we looked at the evidence. We saw the tweet from ABC News on November 3rd that said that they were told to go home. This was on November 3rd, so it would have been before midnight. This would have been after. They didn't say the exact hour they posted it, but it was on the 3rd. This incident was, the ballot dump was occurred 1:36 a.m. on November 4th, with the 125,000 extra votes for China Joe at the last minute. That was like dwarfed any of the other vote counts for China Joe. And we're not buying that. We're not buying that. That's something you got to explain that like a lot better than, oh, In the in-person voting machine, we like printed up a ballot and we gave that to the people who were in person. So that means that none of the absentee ballots were affected. Obviously, anybody who's trying to give me that answer, I'm gonna be looking at real suspicious. Like that's sketchy as a mug, dog. Like that ain't legit in any way, shape, or form. This is absolutely sketchy. It's like, what do you got? Some Bohemian Grove people paying you off or something, dude? Like, who is paying you? That's what I want to know, because like there's a lot of people to pay off there, but there's also a lot of really corrupt people, and you can't really put it past them, because a lot of these people, when they go home, they might be booty buffing some weird drugs that they got from the illegal immigrants down the street that are hustling the fentanyl for the Mexican cartels. You never know, man. I mean, people booty bump some weird shit, man. I've known some people, like, don't even get me started on what these people are doing up in the bedroom, man. Serious. So here's from the Heritage Foundation, electoral fraud cases. And we're looking at here in Nevada. Here's a recent history of election fraud there. We don't have a lot of cases to look at, but as you can see, 2017, we got a criminal conviction for ballot petition fraud from Ronaldo Johnson. 2016, Tina Marie Parks, criminal conviction, false registrations. 2014, Bequi Diana Papara Rodriguez got a criminal conviction for false registrations and duplicate voting. Another one in 2014, Horencia Segura Munoz got a criminal conviction for ineligible voting, false registration. 2013, Roxanne Rubin got a criminal conviction for duplicate voting. And then 2011, Amy Aldi Burstfit and Christopher ... Sorry. I'm so sorry about that. They got a criminal conviction for false registration. So let's see. We were looking at Arizona. Now let's look at Arizona. Here's the Arizona election fraud, 2020. Randy Allen Jumper got a criminal conviction for fraudulent use of absentee ballots, duplicating voting. 2009, Richard John Greenfield's got a criminal conviction for duplicate voting. We had a bunch of these duplicate votings here. In 2016, there was one from David Milton Cumbersome, Adam Bruce Hayland, John David Hamrick, Gerard Bernard Sack. Steve, boy, I mean, look at all these duplicate voting. We got another thing. Going back here, there's how many in 2015? Two in 2015. I got three more in 2014. Sorry, five more. 6 in 2014. One in 2012. Another three more in 2011. So this stuff happens. People do commit voter fraud. It's because they hate the other party so much that they're willing to commit voter fraud. Right now we got mass Trump derangement syndrome. People think that Donald Trump's this racist, sexist, xenophobe because he said, grab her by the pussy and build the wall because Mexico's not sending us their finest people, which people think is, oh my God, you're saying Mexicans are like bad people. Look, it's the same thing with any sort of culture. If you bring up some of the bad stuff about the culture, people get offended like you're insulting everybody. but then they're going to be the first ones that's criticizing you about the bad things about your culture. So they're hypocrites. You can't really listen to them. It's like Chinese are really bad about it. If you criticize like people for spitting on the streets, you say like, ew, that's gross. When somebody spits on the street, they'll say, how dare you insult Chinese people? How dare you criticize us for what we do? Like their shit doesn't stink or something. They do that. Everybody does it. Americans do it too. And then like, it's like all the radical feminists that are out there, like men are trash. They are bad. The women are so much better because of this, and men owe us this because of all this stuff that we have to put up with, and then they're sitting there just trash talking men nonstop. And then the moment you say anything about the bad stuff the women do, then they're like, you're a misogynist. How could you say anything like that? My shit doesn't stink at all. Your shit stinks horribly. You should feel so bad for how bad your shit stinks. Oh my God, men do this, blah, blah, blah. And if you just only do this, then you would maybe be worthy of me. You really wonder why she's a cat lady? I don't wonder at all why she's a cat lady. I know exactly why that woman is a dog mama. I know exactly why. It's because that's the only one that will put up with her and love her the way that she wants to be loved. Because everybody else would put up with her. What do we got else to cover in this? Oops. Here in this next one from NBC News, Arizona Republicans rebuff Trump's claim of fraud, calls election audit in Maricopa County. I think we pretty much covered this. Why do I have this again up here? I don't remember. I think this is a duplicate story. But I think it seems like they want to be the first to jump on it. And they're like, oh, the Secretary of State's a rhino, a Republican in name only. So that means it's debunked. That means that they got, it's bipartisan because they found the one rhino who the only way that he could get in that heavily blue area is to say that he's not a conservative, that he's more of a liberal, but has conservative, but is fiscally conservative. And then he could slip in as a rhino, and then they stab you in the back. The first case that they can get. You can't trust a rhino as far as you can throw them. Typically, you can't throw them very far, which means one thing, you can't trust them. This one says, quote, as a conservative Republican, I don't like the results of the presidential election, he said. Quote, I voted for President Trump. I worked hard to re-elect him, but I cannot and will not entertain suggestions that we violated the current law to change the outcome of the certified election, end quote. I think the question that they're trying to do is they're trying to get the signature match. Like, yeah, well, we know that you ballot stuff while we weren't looking. And we know if we run the ballots again, we'll get the same result because the ballots were fraud. So that doesn't do us any good. We have to do the signature verification. And if you're not willing to do that, then we're assuming that you just rigged it because you're not willing to do the basic signature verification. Don't know enough about this. I haven't looked at the exact claims in the suit, but Donald Trump and the Kraken team have not been hashtag winning. They're definitely not winning at all. But that might just be the natural course of progression because going up to the Supreme Court, a lot of times you have to, well, not a lot of times, almost all the times you have to exhaust all of the other courts beforehand. And if they refuse to, if the courts then refuse your case, then the Supreme Court is the court of last resort. But they're always packed, so they have to push somebody else off into the future docket in order to get your case. So it better be good. If it's not, then probably not going to get in. We might have to put up with Kamala the Snitch Harris having slept her way all the way up to the top because Joe Magoo Biden said the moment in this last week, he said as soon as he doesn't have a disagreement or he has a disagreement with Kamala Harris, he's going to pretend like he got a disease and then dip out and make her president. Because that's what you can expect from China Joe. He's just the dude that they put all the money in to get him elected. You got to understand. Why on earth is Facebook dropping $400 million into this election? Because the Department of Justice is hitting them with lawsuits to break up them for antitrust. And this means that Mark Zuckerberg needed to rig the presidential election specifically so that he can preserve his monopoly on the social media market, so that he can ensure his ability to regulate political speech. For instance, I was suspended off of Facebook because I said to somebody in a political debate when we were coming at, it was an Antifa dude. He's got the black profile picture, doesn't show anything. He's always coming out with some anti-capitalist shit. And I'm like, yo, man, why you always being a punk bee? You know, like a female dog. And then I got suspended for harassment and bullying for saying, why you got to be a little punk bee? So you got to watch out what you're saying, because they can just take away your account, make it so you can't have another Facebook account because you said, why you got to be a punk bee? And then I also said women were crazy because this one woman was like acting like a nutcase. I'm like, man, women are crazy. Like, people are crazy. And then I got a ban for hate speech. That was for a day. And then there was another time where I was in criticizing Europeans for their anti-hate speech laws or their anti-free speech laws. And I also got 2 banned for hate speech for criticizing Europeans. So the Facebook censorship is pretty fruitcake. I've had so many of my comments critical of BLM flagged as spam. And then they deleted the comments. I can't even see it in the support inbox. They won't show me what it was, but I got it on camera. So they can't hide. Revealed it on the show. You can look up Facebook in the RSS commentary archives. You see all the evidence that I got against Facebook. And what are they doing? They're trying to solidify their monopoly. Are they really trying to do it to be a good Samaritan? You got to ask yourself, why on earth are they censoring our speech? Is it really to protect kids? The Communications Decency Act, or Section 230, really states that they're only supposed to be using filters to protect parents, to shield their kids from stuff. It's not supposed to be for adults. Like, it's supposed to shield kids from porn and shield people from online harassment. Like, but harassment doesn't mean that somebody insulted you. It means like the kind of thing that people could sue you for. Like badgering somebody when they ask you to stop. Like, if somebody's asking you to stop, and you keep badgering over and over again, then at a certain point in time it becomes harassment. What it is not, though, is if somebody says, man, why you got to be a punk bee? That's not harassment. That's absolutely not harassment in any way, shape, or form. Is it the smartest thing to say in a debate where you're trying to get people to like you? Because people don't really go on reason. They go on whether they like you. Probably not a smart thing to say. Is there harassment? No. That person's talking to me. I mean, I'm not like coming at him like they got multiple messages toward me. But I'm a white male. So I don't have any protection to being the minority or being a wham man and being able to say this guy's a misogynist. They're saying hateful things. I need you to censor his speech because he's not supposed to have that speech because he's a privileged white male, and it's dangerous for him to be able to use his words because when he does, he might actually get his way, and he's a white male, and the white people owned slaves, and they killed the American Indians, and they took their land, so that means that he doesn't belong here. So we got to attack that white privilege, make sure that he can't get ahead in life because he doesn't deserve it because of his skin color and his gender. Anything else in here? I think we covered most of this. In here, what's that? What else we got? We got a long live stream. I got to kick it up in a higher gear. The live stream's not over. We're gonna be so this video, this part of the live stream's over. But don't forget to smash that like button and leave a comment down below about what you think about this whole voter fraud thing. Do you think that this happened? What exact kind of evidence does Donald Trump need to present in order to make his case more compelling? Do we need more affidavits? Who needs to have affidavits? Which state could he win in? Are they all gone? Is this everything about this just insane to anybody else who doesn't follow news? Or if you thought this video sucked, smash that dislike button. Tell me how stupid I am down in the comments down below why you're right. Don't forget to share this video on social media if you would like to see this channel grow, if you get value out of this. Also, the best way you can help us grow is to subscribe, RSS commentary on YouTube, and hit that notification bell for notifications as to when we go live.